to GavGoesIn. So it's looking like, guys, that Manchester City not messing around this season, as to be expected. They've agreed a deal with AC Milan for Tijjani Reijnders. And to be honest with you, Man City gonna get Reijnders for 46.3 or 5.5 million. Guys, I cannot believe Man City have agreed a deal for a player for me who is big up Killer, bro. I cannot believe Man City have agreed a deal for a player for me that is one of the best midfielders in the world right now. And they've agreed a deal for 46 million. And you mean to tell me United, and again, Reijnders obviously will be playing Champions League football with Man City, but you mean to tell me a midfielder like that is available for 46 mil, and Man United are not even sniffing at that deal? 46.3 million for Tijjani Reijnders, who's one of the best midfielders in the world right now. Yeah, it's just an absolute joke, man. And yeah, another disappointing transfer window it's looking like at the moment. I do still think United will make some other significant moves. What's this? Inter Milan make? Yeah, Inter Milan getting Cesc Fabregas. That'd be a great move. Obviously, Simone Inzaghi is going to Saudi. And for me, Fabregas is one of the best up-and-coming managers, or coaches, should I say. And he's going to Inter Milan from Como. So that's a good deal. But yeah, Reijnders going for 46.3 million. And as I said, guys, I think that is an absolute steal from Man City. And Man City, that's Reijnders over the line now. Obviously, he's going to be doing his medical. And then they're going to try and press on with trying to get Aït-Nouri and Ryan Cherki. I know there's obviously interest in Livramento as well, but I think the Livramento deal is going to be slightly harder to do, because Newcastle, I think for PSR, Newcastle will need to do some business, but I don't think they're going to let Livramento go, if I'm honest with you. But I think the Cherki deal and the Aït-Nouri deal coming up next, I think it's going to be a slightly more easier. But yeah, man, I'm absolutely disgusted that United are not even in the conversation for Reijnders. And again, Reijnders is probably more likely going to choose Man City, Champions League football, more successful. But I would have at least liked, United to show some intent in getting another midfielder in and looking at Reijnders, because he would have been perfect for not only this system, but he'd have been perfect for what United need to do. And to think that City are getting him for 46.3 million for a midfielder like that, is it's absolutely it's disgusting, really, that United not even in that conversation. It's madness. I mean, obviously Reijnders, he's had 76 appearances for AC Milan with a return of 20 goals and assists combined. 16 appearances in the Champions League, 3 goals, and he's got 22 caps for Holland with a return of 4 goals, So this midfielder here, is an all-rounded midfielder. All-rounded midfielder, very press-resistant on the ball as well. Great passer of the ball, high energy. He's got everything for me that a modern-day midfielder needs to excel, and to think City are adding him to their midfield with the likes of Rodri coming back, and they're going to do more business. As I said, if City get Reijnders, Cherki and Aït-Nouri, they're the favourites for the title for me, regardless if Liverpool do get Florian Wirtz in as well as Kerkez and Frimpong. I'd make City favourites for me, and yeah, again, guys, it's just another dagger into the chest, really, man, for me, United. As I said, I'm not saying that Reijnders would have definitely have come to United, but at least United could have at least shown that they were interested in a player like that. But it's looking like City having a free run at him as well. And I'm actually surprised the likes of actually no, I'm trying to think actually, because if I look at PSG don't really need him, and I think Reinders can go and play for any team in the world, by the way. But I don't think PSG really need him with that three they've got. Real Madrid pretty stacked in their midfield. Obviously, Xabi Alonso just going there as well. Barcelona, I think Barca could have done with his energy, if I'm honest with you, because I think someone like that would have suited Barcelona perfectly. But again, Barca got a lot of younger players coming through, so they'd rather give their younger players more game time than signing someone else from outside the league, I would say. Bayern Munich, I'm surprised Bayern Munich didn't go in for him. If I look at Bayern Munich's midfield, they probably need some fresh energy in there. The likes of Kimmich, obviously does play at right back as well. Young Pavlovic coming through. Goretzka, you could probably move him on. So I think Bayern could have done with him. So I'm actually surprised that, not many teams. If I look in the Premier League, Chelsea don't need him. United definitely need him. City need a midfielder. Liverpool, they probably say they're pretty confident with what they've got. Who else in there? I mean, Newcastle, that would have been do you know what? Newcastle would have been a great move for Reinders. I know they got the three of Joel Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali, but having a Reinders in there as well, and I think Reinders would start in that midfield, as solid as their midfield is already. But obviously PSR might play a factor into that. But yeah, as I said, man, I think that signing for City is a great signing, man, to get him for that amount of money as well. Yeah, it's I think it's scary times for the league, man. I think City are primed to do something serious this season, So Killer says Man United gonna make moves. They're offering 250k wages to players. I'm not so sure about that, but we'll get into that in a bit. Obviously, there's been interest in. They've made their interest known in Bryan Mbuemo, which again is not really a surprise over the last couple of days. The reports that's been coming in. That Tally says United should give up and take up ballet dancing instead. United should disband and just become a production company that produce Broadway shows. Yeah, Naphtali, man. Listen, this club's a clown show from what I'm seeing. I know obviously they've got Cunha over the line, but nothing's gonna make me forget that Bruno Fernandes is still at this club, and the club should have moved him out. They should have forced him to go, which clearly wasn't the case. So yeah, big up to Alaric as well. Gamer says Newcastle not going to offer more than 200k a week for a player that keeps their wage structure level in the squad. Yeah, but you know what I would say, Gamer, yeah? What I would say is that if Newcastle really want to be taken seriously and go to the next level, they're probably going to have to go above the 200k wage structure. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not sure how much Isak is on at the moment. But what I would say is that if Isak has another season, because I don't believe Isak goes anywhere, but I reckon if Isak has another season where he hits 20 goals in the league, I think Isak will be off. He'll either be off or Newcastle are going to have to offer him a contract that's going to make him in line with one of the best paid players in the league. So you're going to have a problem with Isak, I believe, because as I said, the striker market ain't really there. And for someone like Isak, you're going to have to pay 100+ million to replace him, you would think. I know Ekatike is out there as well. And I think Ekatike, to be honest, is looking like probably a bargain when you think about it, even though he is going to cost like 84 mil. If you look at his age, what he offers as well, he could be a good bet. But I think the likes of Isak next season, I think if he does, as I said, score 20 plus goals again, the only way Newcastle keep him for me is if they offer him another contract, which, as I said, makes him one of the best players in the league, or they'll be forced to sell him. So I understand what you're saying, keeping the wage structure level, but there's nothing wrong with paying if you're paying someone who is your absolute best player and your key player above the wage structure, because sooner or later you're going to have to go above that wage structure to keep your best players happy, you know. And I think someone like Mbuemo, obviously that you're rumored to be in for, I think there was rumors that Mbuemo wants to quadruple his salaries at the moment, And to be honest with you, why wouldn't you quadruple? Why wouldn't Mbuemo ask for that? Because look at what he's doing for a Brentford team that have no right really to be performing the way they are. But that's credit to Thomas Frank. That's credit to the players. And as I said, Mbuemo's in high demand, so he's going to ask for that. And I think Newcastle, if I'm honest with you, if they're thinking that they're not going to go for Mbuemo because he's asking for 250, I think they could be missing a trick, because Mbuemo could be the difference from Newcastle mounting a serious title challenge and not. So yeah, as I said, man, I think they need to really think about if they want to keep to this wage structure, because the players that they're going to get in, like let's say because I think they're linked to what in the past on that right hand side, you know, obviously Mbuemo, Nicholas Kuhn from Celtic, you know, you got lots of Kudus, you know, there's been links to Tyler Dibbling, and I think there's links to someone else as well. If you look at all those players that I've just mentioned, apart from Mbuemo, they were all, in my opinion, they won't ask for as much as what Mbuemo's reportedly asking for. You know, I think the only one probably that might ask for probably a bit similar might be Kudus, but I don't think Kudus would ask for 250. You know, but I think the likes of Kun, obviously coming from Celtic, Tyler Dibling's a young player. I think those two in particular, if they was to come to Newcastle, won't be on much more than 100 grand. But the likes of Kudus, the likes of Mbuemo, these guys are Premier League proven, you know, and they've shown the league what they got to offer. So they're going to come in asking for 200, 250, you know. And as I said, if Newcastle do want to go to the next level, unfortunately they're going to have to offer that kind of wage, you know, unless they're just happy with just staying where they are, you know. Football Edit says Ronaldo or Messi. Big up to Daniela as well for coming on. So Gamer says they should offer Isak a new contract 100%. Yeah, but listen, as I said, I think Isak, for me, as I said, does stay here for this season, because as we know, Newcastle, I think he'll be the last player Newcastle will be looking to sell, and they're only going to sell him if it's for massive money. So I think he stays there another season. But as I mentioned, the problem that they're going to have is that if he goes on another scoring spree, I can't see him being there next season if Newcastle are either not in Champions League or not competing for the title. And the only way they're going to be able to keep him is by breaking their wage structure. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just going back to Tijjani Reijnders. Do you know what? That's a great signing for the price that Man City are getting him for. And guys, they're looking to pair Reijnders and Rodri. You know, I think Kovacic has obviously had surgery, so he might miss the start of the season. Who else they got in there? Obviously, they got Nico Gonzalez, who was brought in as well. And I think Nico Gonzalez will be more of a squad player for Man City. I think he'll be more of a, you know, cup, like Carabao Cups, FA Cups, you know, the odd Champions League games as well. I think he'll be someone that'll be required for that. But in their best team, you're probably looking at someone next to Rodri, if Rodri obviously gets back to the levels he was at. And having Reijnders next to him, you know, that combination there. I'd go as far as saying that combination there in a two will be as important as what Lavia and Caicedo are. as important what Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Gravenberch, McAllister. I think it's that level. So, well, not only do I think it's that level, I think it has the potential to be probably the best. I think Caicedo Lavia for me is if Lavia stays fit, is a great midfield. Same with Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, I think they're all good, but I think that will take some beating. And again, if they're rumored to be getting Ryan Cherky in as well, Cherky in at 10, even though them getting Cherky in, I'm hoping Pep does play Cherky in the 10 because they've got Savinho, they've got Oscar Bob coming back as well, obviously Foden as well, McAtee. I think one of them players, I think Foden, McAtee, I think McAtee goes out on loan, I would say, or if they can get an offer for him, because I don't see how you can fit all four of them in. I know Oscar Bob's just returned from injury, but to fit in all four of those players on that right-hand side and then bring in a Cherky who actually, plays from the right or plays as a 10. This is why I think Cherky's coming in for the De Bruyne replacement, because it would make no sense to bring in Cherky to play him on the right-hand side, knowing you've got all those players. Unless Pep plays a free in midfield, and then you've got Bernardo Silva as well, who can play out there. But I think Bernardo Silva will play more centrally, so... but yeah, just based on that, actually, the fact that Bernardo Silva is still there, and then you've got Bernardo Silva, you've got Foden, you've got Oscar Bob, you've got Savinho, and some people say Savinho's better from the left-hand side. But if you're thinking of all those players, someone's going to have to move on. You know what I mean? Because, as I said, I think Bernardo obviously probably will play more in field, but can play out from the right. Cherky obviously plays in the 10, but can play from the right. The same with Foden, McAtee, as well, has been playing. So yeah, they're gonna have an issue really trying to fit in all those players. So I think one of them players does move on, for sure. But yeah, what a great addition that's gonna be, man, Reijnders. But guys, moving on. Obviously United make contact with Brentford for Bryan Mbuemo, and obviously there's no surprise. Obviously, Mbuemo's given his preference to United. The one thing that I'm a bit shocked about, really, is that unless Mbuemo's told his agent not to field any interest from other clubs, I'm surprised there isn't, many other clubs coming in for him. Because if I look at what teams need, obviously we've spoken about Newcastle already. I even look at Chelsea. As funny as it may sound, if Chelsea could get rid of Noni Madueke, and let's say, they listen to offers for Neto, I think getting in Mbuemo on that right-hand side, because I think it's pretty obvious this manager wants to play Cole Palmer in the 10. I know William Esteval's coming in as well. But if they are going to play that system and Palmer stays in the 10, or, Esteval might play in there, if you can get rid of Madueke and listen to offers for Neto, and to be honest with you, I was a massive fan of Neto, but Neto's been very disappointing since he's gone there. If you can listen to offers for Neto and get rid of Madueke and bring in, obviously Sancho's is coming back to United as well. If they could get an Mbuemo, I mean, what an addition that would be, because again, he's a goal threat and he's Premier League proven, so I'm surprised that Chelsea haven't. I mean, I know Quenda coming in next season, but I'm surprised Chelsea haven't really, thought about that, because they've got, as I say, Madueke and Neto for me are two players that, haven't pulled up any trees at Chelsea, and I think Chelsea probably missing the trick not going for an Mbuemo. Obviously Man United is obvious. Again, City don't need him. Liverpool for me, I think if I'm looking at right side attackers, left-footed attackers in the league, I know Mo Salah's obviously still there. But for me, I think Liverpool should be looking at a contingency plan in case Mo Salah gets an injury, or who to replace him with. And if I look at two players that are in the league right now, Mbuemo and Kudus are the ideal two to replace Salah, in the future. But I think if Kudus, if Mbuemo does go to United, again, that's one player that rules him out from going to Liverpool to replace Salah. So you're possibly looking at a Kudus, and but I think they're missing the trick really, Liverpool, because I think if they get Kudus in now, 60 million, even if Kudus is battling Salah for a place which you'd expect, which you'd expect Salah to be starting, at least at least you've got a player there that is a ready-made replacement to take over from Salah when he does eventually go. So they could be missing the trick, but again, United are in pole position to get Mbuemo. I think 60 million is fair for Mbuemo as well. I think considering what he's done this season, it's a no-brainer for me. 60 million for what Brentford are asking for. They're losing, as I say, if you're looking at their three best players, you've got Mbuemo, Vissa, and probably Christian Norgard, the captain. Three of their best players. If you're losing one of your main attacking outlets, 60 million is a fair price, which will allow them to go and invest in probably three players to cover the void that's been left by Mbuemo. And whether Man United, because I think, obviously we've been hearing United ain't got no money, but, I think once one of the attackers goes, so I think once Garnacho goes out the door, I think United probably will start moving things. But I think at the moment, in terms of departures from Man United, it's been very quiet. So, yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? But it's good signs that United are looking at someone like Mbuemo, because start of the season, I didn't really see that one happening. I didn't think Mbuemo would have been a possibility, but it's clear that he wants to come to United, and it's up to United to get that over the line now. And to get Mbuemo and Cunha in, as two players that we're looking at as the best from the rest, you would say. United have got both of them after the season that they've had, which is great business. To me, it's not enough though. Still, I still think United need to midfield for me is massively important. Because if we're looking at the wide options in this system, Mbuemo and Cunha, that's cool. You know what I mean? But central midfield, regardless if Bruno Fernandes is now here. And guys, I wouldn't rule out that Bruno Fernandes stays to the end of this window, because the guy clearly wanted to leave, and obviously something has changed. And I think the fact that Al Hilal have turned their attentions to Edison lets me know that something's happened along the way. And I think that there could be, because I'm hearing Atletico Madrid maybe interested in Bruno, and he would suit Atletico Madrid, suit Diego Simeone's team. But obviously, again, you'd expect them not to pay the kind of money that United probably would want. But I think it's something to look at, because I think that, I think there could be something in the pipeline for Bruno, because Bruno clearly wanted to go. You don't be in negotiations with Al Hilal for that long, and then all of a sudden, the deal's dead. So I do think there's probably something more into this, but yeah. But I think having Mbuemo, having Cunha there, midfield for me is a must. Because as I said, I look at the options right now. And if we're disregarding Kobe from there, because I don't think Kobe is good there, as we all know, we're looking at Casemiro, Bruno, Ugarte, and Collier, who for me is a squad player. Sekou Kone, again, is going to be going out on loan, which is probably the right move for his development. I would like to see him get more game time, but obviously the rumours are he's going out on loan. But I think United definitely need to get, for me, 2 is ideal, but it's looking like with Bruno staying, it might be 1. And that one for me has to be Baleba. Baleba needs to be the main target in midfield. If United have 60 to 80 million to spend with the sales of if Garnacho goes, which is likely, you get Højlund off the books as well. If Mount goes out on loan, you get a loan fee. So I'm looking at the assets that could go. Obviously you got Anthony and Sancho coming back. I see at least one of them possibly going. And if it was me, I'd keep both of them personally for the squad. I'd keep both of them. As I said, I know Cunha's there, but having Sancho, compete with Cunha would be two players for that position. The same with Anthony. If Anthony, because Anthony can play as a wing back, and if you've got Anthony, Ahmad, and Mbuemo all on that side of the pitch, two for each position. That's good going. Because obviously injuries will play a part as well. And then you've got, as I said, the likes of getting rid of Garnacho, Højlund. And then if you can get Garnacho and Højlund at the door, get a Mason Mount at the door as well if he goes on loan, as I said. If money comes in and you can get one midfielder in, because let's not forget as well, Angel Gomez will be available on a free. So if they can get an Angel Gomez on a free and get Carlos Baleba, as their big midfield signing, I'd be happy with the window, if I'm honest. Regardless if Bruno stays and the manager is lucky to keep his job. So I'd be more than happy with that. But who knows what's going to happen? Because, it's... I think everything at the moment is pointing towards Mbuemo, and it's looking like United should get that over the line. But as I said, I think I'm just surprised there isn't many more teams interested, unless he's told his team to only look at Man United, But yeah, guys, that's the news so far. As I said, Man City looking like they're going all out this season. They've made Reijnders. They've agreed to deal with Reijnders, 46.3 million. And that's more or less over the line now. And they're going to move on to the next targets, which is Ryan Aït-Nouri and Ryan Cherki. And to be honest with you, that is going to be great business for them, as well as what they've done in January. You got Kusanov as well, who's young and will get better. Vitor Reich as well from Palmeiras, obviously a young defender again, who will get better. And the thing is, City are making plans for the future, man. And they've got two players in Kusanov and Reich that were brought in January that Pep will be looking at, as players to come in and replace the likes of Ake, who's injury prone, John Stones. Obviously, Diaz is still there. Gvardiol's still there. And the things with Gvardiol as well now, I think if they get Aït-Nouri in, that will make that will push Gvardiol to playing more as a centre back. And do you know what? It's clever what Pep's doing, because I think people probably forgot that Gvardiol was a centre back. But if you can get Ryan Aït-Nouri as a left back, and then you get Gvardiol left-sided centre back, they're going to a four at the back. Ruben Diaz is obviously there, and then obviously they've been linked to Livramento. If you can get two flying fullbacks and then get two proper centre-backs there, that's going to make them dangerous, because they're going to have options. And again, they've got players that are injury-prone, the likes of Stones and Ake. Obviously, Akanji's still there as well. So Akanji can be one of the centre-backs. I won't have to play right-back no more. And all of a sudden, this Man City team looks dangerous again. With the signings of, obviously, Marmoush, brought in January. He'll obviously be more experienced in the league and go from strength to strength. So yeah, they're gonna be a massive problem now, Man City, if they get them players over the line. And Reijnders looks like he's the first one. So yeah, it's mad. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming on. Quick little stream. I'm gonna be back, guys. As I said, 10 o'clock today. So Nations League, Germany versus Portugal semi-final. So yeah, it's going to be a good game. If you haven't seen my potential lineups from yesterday that I done for all four teams, so I done obviously Germany, Portugal, Spain, and France. So that I went through the squad and the potential lineups. Obviously there's some key absentees from all the teams except for Portugal, who are at full strength. So yeah, make sure you give that a look and let me know what you think. But yeah, I'll be back at 10 o'clock tonight and doing my match reaction to the Germany and Portugal game. So yeah, guys, make sure you tune in, and I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.